Thanks for staying with us. Let's get you some election-related updates now. In a surprise announcement, the main opposition party in the state, the AIADMK, has released the list of 160 candidates and their constituencies. This effectively shuts the door on MDMK's chances of being in the alliance, since with the 160 seats, the full complement of 234 seats in the AIADMK-led alliance has been met. In fact, earlier in the day, sources close to both the AIADMK and the MDMK said efforts were on to convince the MDMK and Vaiko to accept the 13 seats that were offered by the AIADMK. Now, let's just take a look at some of the important constituencies from the city of Chennai. In fact, Perambur has gone to the candidate Vetrivel, Vilivakam to JCD Prabhakar, RK Nagar to E. Madhusudanan, 1,000 Lights being bagged by B. Valarmati, Tiruvika Nagar to Neelakandan, Roypuram to D. Jayakumar, Ananagar to Gokula Indra, Velacheri being bagged by M.K. Ashok, the Harbour by Para Karupaya, Mylapore by Miss Janaki, Saidapet by Sentamilan, Vidungambakam by Kamalakannan, and T. Nagar by VP Kalayarajan. So quite a few there in the city, among the city constituencies being bagged by the AIADMK. Let's just go across to our senior correspondent Peer Muhammad, who's been tracking this very closely from the Poise Garden. He joins us from the Hindu studios at the moment. First off, Peer, quite a huge snub there for Vaiko. Although he was kept waiting there, the numbers were increased a bit in between, but a clear snub for the MDMK General Secretary there.
Yes, Evelyn, he has been, Vaiko has been this long-standing ally of the main opposition AIADMK. For the last 5 years, he has been a very steady support also with his oratorical skills. He has been a big campaigner for the AIADMK-led alliance. He could have been one of the main campaigners for the alliance. But the fact that the AIADMK offered him 13 seats finally, and he was given an appointment today afternoon, but he did not turn up. That has made the AIADMK go ahead with its announcement of candidates list now. And now that we have the candidates list in hand, it is very clear that doors are shut on Vaiko, and all the 160 candidates are announced for all across the state. And the list, what is interesting in the list is more than 10 women have been given chance. This is usual in the AIADMK. Women get, compared to other parties, they get priority. In fact, in the city alone, we have in Mylapore one R. Janahi contesting in 1,000 Lights. We have the former minister Valarmati contesting, and also another woman is this Gokula Indra, who is AIADMK Women Secretary. She is contesting from Anna Nagar. Which is also now Anna Nagar is with the Congress party. It is given away by the DMK to the Congress. It will be a contest between the Congress and the AIADMK. And most of the city constituencies were retained by the AIADMK. And almost all the 16 constituencies were retained by the AIADMK. That is another interesting factor. Also, because of the delimitation factor, the former ministers of the AIADMK, they have shifted constituencies. For example, C.V. Shanmugam has gone to Viluppuram because his earlier constituency, Dindivanam, is now reserved, so he is contesting from there. And also the former Chief Minister O. Panneerselvam, he is contesting from Bodi Nayakanur because his constituency, Periyakulam, is now reserved. So also the fact that Jayalalitha is contesting from Srirangam because in 2009 Lok Sabha elections, this particular assembly segment reported a lead of over 20,000 votes for the AIADMK MP candidate. He got over 20,000 votes in that particular assembly segment, ahead, much ahead of his rival candidate Charubala Thondaman of Congress. That is one reason. Also, Jayalalitha in her pre-election rally in Tiruchirappalli said she is, in fact, her ancestors were from Srirangam town. So that is when she went and attended that rally. She said, never before rally in my life, in my political career. That was kind of her homework for contesting from that constituency. That is what we can learn from the list that we have with us now.
Peter, you did mention the city bastions there. I just want to draw a parallel. While most of these bastions were once DMK's constituencies, they've obviously moved out to the suburbs and others this time around, with even the Congress getting 5. While the AIADMK look like they've taken over, could this be perhaps because of the 2G scam and its implications then?
Definitely, Evelyn, because we know very well that the 2G scam has an impact on the urban educated voter. That is one reason the DMK has avoided the contesting from the city constituencies. But the ADMK is looking to cash in on that advantage. That we know very well that in 2006 assembly elections, Chennai city, off of Chennai city, particularly Saidapet, T Nagar, Mylapore, all voted in favor of ADMK candidates. So though ADMK was not able to perform well in the rural constituencies in 2006, they were able to perform well in many of the city constituencies. Those particularly T Nagar is now retained by VP Kalirajan, the sitting MLA. Saidapet is now retained by G. Sendamilan, the sitting MLA. Also, we have there is an interesting factor in RK Nagar, where the Segar Babu, the sitting ADMK MLA, walked out of the ADMK and joined the DMK. There they have fielded the presidium chairman of the party, E. Madhusudanan, who is reportedly also the relative of Segar Babu, which is going to be quite a game in that particular constituency, RK Nagar constituency, how they are going to fight it out, because Segar Babu is most likely to be fielded from RK Nagar. That is what we hear from the DMK sources. This is going to be quite a tough fight in the RK Nagar constituency. Other constituencies, particularly Thousand Lights and Anna Nagar, are given away to women, as I mentioned earlier, to Valarmadi, the former minister, and also to Gogula Indra, who is the women wing secretary of the ADMK.
Right, Pete. Also, with the MDMK not being part of this alliance anymore, how will it really affect and impact the chances of either of them, maybe even Ivaiko contesting all alone, or perhaps even the AIADMK's chances, though they have Vijaykanth with them?
Yeah, it will have a marginal effect on the ADMK in the southern districts, definitely, particularly Virudhunagar, Sangaran Koil, and particularly districts like Tirunelveli, Thuthukudi, and those Sivagasi, that is Virudhunagar district also, it will have a marginal impact. Also the Karthik, the other player in the southern districts, who has a sizable vote bank among the Devar youth. This is going to split the votes for the main opposition, which how the ADMK is going to strategize and counter the effect of Vaiko, and because we do not know, 19th on this Saturday only Vaiko is going to decide on his political stand for the upcoming assembly election. He hasn't announced any of his plans. He may extend support to the ADMK-led alliance. That is one report saying. But if he is going to go with join hands with the BJP, as some of the reports pointed out in the morning, that is going to really split the votes of the main opposition. That is going to affect the chances of the ADMK-led alliance in some of the southern districts for sure. Yeah.
Right. What about the DMDK's constituencies? Has that been identified? We know that those talks were on at Poise Garden this evening, but has that come to an end? Do we have any clarity on that front?
Yeah, definitely. The DMDK's Vijaykanth's cousin and DMDK's youth wing secretary Sudhis was there at the ADMK headquarters, and emerging out of that identification of seats.
Well, we'll just have to interrupt those inputs there coming in from Peer and bring you the big breaking news at this point that the suicide note of Sadiq Basha has been found. In fact, our crime reporter Salim now joins us with that big breaking news and more. Salim, what more can you tell us at this point from your police sources? What have you been gathering?
Evelyn, you were right, absolutely. Sadiq Basha has left a suicide note. In the suicide note, allegedly, he has mentioned that nobody is responsible for him taking this extreme step. And secondly, he has also given a clean sheet to Raja and his family members. He had mentioned that Raja and his family members are innocent. And allegedly, he has also blamed the media, saying that the media has blown the issue out of proportion. As far as our sources are concerned, it was alleged that all these three things have been mentioned in the suicide note. The suicide note is with the investigating officer as of now. The forensic expert has also arrived at the Roypeta Government Hospital to conduct a forensic test. We will come to know shortly whether there is any marks of strangulation, and the body and the postmortem will be conducted tomorrow morning at around 9 o'clock, and hopefully the doctors say that the body will be handed over to the victim's family before 10.
Right. Do we have any more clarity on who really found this note? Was this found by his wife at the bedroom itself, or was this after the probe that these officers went into to his house for this evening?
Yeah, Evelyn, it is understood that the suicide note was placed inside the bedroom, and the investigating officer in this case, the Tenambat inspector, has the suicide note.
Right. What are your police sources telling you? How do they plan to take this? Do they plan to match maybe his handwriting and confirm that this was in fact written by him and rule out any other options really?
Absolutely, Evelyn. As the investigation proceeds, the police will do all these procedures, and the police as of now say that the suicide note is a very clear evidence, but the police say they will carry out their investigation in a free and fair manner. Basically, the forensic experts have arrived at the Roypeta Government Hospital, and they will conduct a scientific examination, and the results will be handed over to the police. Secondly, the doctors will conduct postmortem examination hopefully tomorrow morning at around 9 o'clock, and the postmortem report will also be submitted to the police. So, with the help of these two, both the postmortem report and the forensic report, the police will conduct the investigation and then will come to a conclusion whether what really has happened.
Well, there were initial reports and suspicions of whether this could be a murder initially when the news broke, but does this now really confirm and rule out chances of that, since this note has been found, and where does it really take the investigations to at this point?
The police are not ruling out the chances, Evelyn. As of now, they say that it's a vital evidence as far as the suicide note is concerned, because the person has expressed his views, and secondly, he has very clearly mentioned in his suicide note that no one is in charge for him taking this extreme step. But the police say that this is one among the evidence. However, this is a vital evidence. But the police say that they will carry out with their investigation in a free and fair manner. They will assess the forensic report, and they will also collect the postmortem examination report, compare all this report, then after conducting investigation, they will come to a conclusion about what exactly has happened.
Right. Thanks very much indeed, Salim, for joining us with that big breaking news at this hour. So that note has been found that was written by Sadiq Basha allegedly, and but clearly the probe really has to look in much more, even in that post-mortem report that's really crucial in those investigations being conducted by the Chennai City Police as well. With that, we wrap this bulletin. Thanks very much for being with us.